Hello, everybody. This is Pete from PA Labs, and I'm picking up on the game development. So, I have here, I spent, I guess, 4 or 5 hours yesterday getting this all ready to get started. And you may look over here in my project folder and go, holy cow, you've got a ton of stuff. But it's all preparatory stuff. This is the data grid helper. My dice roller, I'll get into him later. This has various helpers. We have our grid guy we're going to use. I brought in RTF. Um, let's see, in models, let's see, we have our database model. This project has already been initialized with Class Builder, so we will be using it quite heavily, starting right off the bat here. But at this point, what I'm doing is going through and saying, okay, this is where I start a project. Um, I assemble stuff I know I'm going to need, put it all together in the project. And then we have the utilities so far as just the jelly buttons from Ice Designer. I like those. And then we have an about box. I went ahead and threw an about box in. And we have a version. Actually, I don't think I actually use version, but I built the screen just in case I do. I'm not sure. Uh, but I don't know that we actually do it. I've created our video game and started building some screens. So by looking at this right here, you automatically know that I have built some screens out here. Actually, I've got quite a few, but they're just kind of standard stuff. Let's go ahead and open some of them up. So we have the About box, which I just dragged from another project, and our videoed WarGame. So I don't have an icon for it yet, but we'll figure that out in a bit. Let's see, we have, come on. Let's see, we have, let's go with main. So when this is the creator side of things, before you can build a player, you've got to actually create the game and build all the stuff that people are going to use. So our creator screen initially is going to be nothing more. This is going to be a data grid. And if you've seen the data grid gadget replacement videos, you'll understand this. So this is going to be a data grid showing all the games that are created. You can just close it down and go home and change to another app, or you can create a game. I'm more of a visual developer. I like to build my screens first, and then I build my database. And then once I have the database, I start linking stuff together. But I may actually build 5 or 6 tables and 8 or 10 screens before I actually start writing code, other than the code that Class Builder and that sort of thing builds for me. So if we hit create, I've gone ahead and said, okay, let's open up the create screen. So we have a game create. And this is the preliminaries of building a game that we're going to have. And this is a name. What is the synopsis of the game? And that's going to be, initially going to be our RTF. And then game type. I put this in here, although there's only going to be one option in it. But the idea is that you can have a single map game where the entire game is played on one map, which is the vast majority of Avalon Hill games and Spy games and stuff like that. We're all built on one game board. Columbia Games, most of their games, they're a block game company. I own several of those, and they're predominantly a single map kind of game. But the advantage that we have in the computer world, because we're not limited by the cost of things as such, is that you can have a campaign game where you meet the objectives of one map, and then that leads you to a second objective that you have to overcome, and then maybe a third or a fourth or a fifth. And you could carry it on, you could actually build in a storyline, which I have done in the past. And now that's the idea. That's the concept behind a game type. Is it a one map game or is it a campaign? And then we're only going to have 2 players. So we have our player design block, and I'm still a little fuzzy as to whether I want this on this screen, but we're going to have to define player 1 and player 2. What are their names? Which would be allies, axis, maybe it's the Kaiser and the allies, or maybe it's, Genghis Khan and whoever. Doesn't, I mean, those sorts of things can be sorted out. You can work out your, whatever you want. Maybe it's Rome and Carthage or something to that effect. Maybe it's the American Civil War where you got the Federals and the Confederates. Then we have colors. So the base game unit, and this is where we'll get to in a minute, is I did a lot of work on the game units yesterday from the standpoint of graphics. So I've decided we're going to use a hex and various other things. So the base of our game units has a predominant color. So you'll be able to choose one of, 8 different colors for your player bases. The style of game, when we build the unit table, which we'll probably do today at some point, we will actually come out here and identify exactly what graphics are classic, and then exactly what graphics we're going to use for the I don't know what we're going to call it, maybe standard and classic, or I don't know. We'll figure out something. And then which way should the units face? Now, if you're using the classic symbols, there is no right or left. But if you are using the custom ones, or the cute ones, the ones that look good in Pete's world, then you'll probably need facing. So that's the initial preamble to set up just the core basics of what we're doing. So next from there, you would then get to, let's see, I got to the creator screen. Okay, so the problem we're gonna have is real estate. So how big can this screen actually get? Right now I've got him set. I'm probably gonna keep him, I don't know, maybe 1100 or 1200. And then this is like 765, just trying to keep square numbers to the grid. And so a vast majority of this is going to be our scroll area gadget. So we're going to have a huge map in here, and we want to try to get as much of the map visible. I'm going to go ahead and put in a tab bar on the left, and then, but we'll get to that. So that's part of today's development that was put off to today. What I want to go to now is let's come out here and let's go look at the folder structure. So this is a video game. He's got our standard folder structure. My database, I've created my database. So that's this guy right here. He's got the dictionaries and whatnot for RTF. Let's see, the video game database currently, I do have it here. and we will come up here and say, okay, here's my SQLite expert professional or whatever pro version. Let me close up the database on Adventure Quest. So here's our whopping massive table structure that we have for our video game so far. It just contains our version table. Now, the version table is one of those tables that every application has to have. And um, he's managed for you. You don't really have to mess with that. I'll show you that when we start going through code, but I want to get to graphics. So let's come over here. Oh, I was doing the folder structure, right? I kind of get led astray. We call them side quests. Okay, so standard folder structure, we got forms. Inside forms is code. I've got my ICE designer process in here. Images, I've got a whole bunch of image folders. We'll go through those momentarily. We have the includes folder, which has all our included code. This is kind of just standard stuff. Models, we have the database and our version table. Oh, that's a poorly named table. And then we have types. So get rid of that. And then utils. Oh, come on. All right, come on. Let's see. He gets mad at me sometimes. I got too much stuff open. And this whole video thing, boy, these are huge programs. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into images. It looks like the computer wants to go there anyhow. So we have the cursors. I thought that was a great add-in that we had. Maybe we'll use I don't know, maybe I'll build a gauntlet and we'll put a gauntlet cursor and use that. A great explosion kind of, this will end up being a sprite sheet and a graphic that can be, put on the screen. Let's see, flags. I've gone ahead and grabbed my flag folder. So we have various American flags from various time frames. We have some fantasy flags in here, pirate flags. I mean, just standard fare kind of thing. What we can do, we may end up building who knows, maybe we'll build a black powder era kind of game and have Napoleon at Waterloo, or Napoleon. Well, he didn't stand really a chance at Waterloo. Wellington had him, but we could go build France's invasion into Russia or North Africa, or the many times he invaded Austria or something. We could do the American Civil War. So I've got a bunch of flags in here. We can do fantasy flags. So let's see, moving on. GUI library, pretty much a standard drop-in for me. This has most of the stuff for our RTF, and it's got just standard buttons that I use a lot of. We've got hexes. We'll be using those. And I'm going to keep all the graphics at 128. And then when you compress that down to the 64, you get a better, crisper 64 if you started with them at 128, I've found. So that's my logic anyhow. We have the menu icons, and this is predominantly for the RTF. And then we have, these are some old military unit type stuff that I have. I went ahead and threw that in here. Let's see. This is from, if you want to expand the game, you have fighters which go up, and you have dive bombers which go down. And then, of course, you have the right and left facing. You would have aircraft carriers and cruisers and submarines. Um, I have high level bombers. We have engineers, all kinds of different for vehicles that carry. They can maybe have three units that they carry, like a transport ship or something like that. So anyhow, that's just there should you want to expand the game well beyond. Here's like a transport type ship. Um, so then I created Unit Master. Now, Unit Master is going to be what we're using. Um, and this is our game unit, basically. Let's come up here to, we have two different styles of game backs. So one is basically a cube, and this kind of is a nod to the folks at Columbia Games. They have block games, and all of their games are on blocks. I've built games of that style, and that's a pretty cool style, actually. I debated long and hard on this being, acquiring that style, but then that changes all the combat, that changes it, changes all our math of what I've set down so far as to points and how everything works. That's the one thing I really like about this design we're using here. Mathematically works beautiful. So what I've decided I'll do is maybe when a fog of war sort of thing for units that you don't have somebody adjacent to, uh, of the enemy, maybe you'll see the enemy as a block and not have an identification of what type of unit it is because you're not close enough to see, and kind of fog of war, that sort of thing. But what I have decided to do is use these guys as our counters, as opposed to the square tokens like in the old board games. And then the next step in the evolution of building your units and what you want to do is this is how I do it. This is a Pete thing, is I build this master PDN. Okay, and you're scratching your head saying, what on earth is a PDN? A PDN is a paint.net native thing, image thing. All right, so what you have is a 128. Here, let's go ahead and zoom that up so you can get a look at it, a nice, good look at it. So what you have is a paint.net image, and we have a bazillion layers, okay? Now, these white boxes, I can't zoom this up, sadly, but the white boxes over here are things that are turned off. If I want to turn off the tank and turn on the tank facing the other direction. So the idea with this is that your units face each other kind of thing, the whole right and left concept. We have my little wonderful image infantry guy. And remember, this is going to be at 64. And to give you an idea of, let's put this at view normal, not view. Oh, I may have gone to image. Hold on. View actual size. That's it. Oh, and I've still got it zoomed up because of this thing here. So 64 ends up being about that big. So, oh, that was 128. That's right. Okay. So yeah, this is 64. It doesn't look as bad when it's this small. When they're great big like this, then yeah, okay. I'll admit it's not the greatest design in the world. If you can do better, go for it. So we have him facing right, and I have him facing left, and there he is. Or you can come over here and say, let's do a traditional infantry sign. Or actually, there's several traditional infantry type things. We have the cross sabers. Um, and let's see, here's a more traditional. this, instead of being cross sabers, is the X on a very cute background. So we have artillery. So you can see what I did was to position all of these types of unit images that we need. First off, they're at the 128 size, so everything is 128. We can stack our images and build any sort of unit. So that's the purpose of this guy. He has movement on the right, and I can turn on different movements. Maybe his movement is 1. I don't think we even have that to be configured, but I allotted for movement to go all the way up to whatever that is, 6, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I put them all together here, figure out the font and how big it really needs to be. Um, we I came along, and our maximum strength is 10. So if I threw 10 in there, I didn't like that dash coming across that far. So I made 2 different dashes. You got a wide dash and a narrow dash. And so if this guy's 10, he gets the narrow dash. And if he's something other than 10, then we'll put in the wide dash. So then it looks more correct, I guess, is the right answer. So you have various strengths, and then it begins with the background. So that is what a PDN is. A PDN is a Paint.net native format that supports all of the layering and stuff that Paint.net does. And it allows you to put all of your unit graphics into a single individual image, and then make sure everybody lines up exactly where you want them. Okay. So once I got this built with all, I don't know, what is that, 26 or 7? I don't know. There's 20, I don't know, 30 layers or something in there of various graphic types and stuff. And so once I got that, then I copied and pasted them into individual images, and then I downloaded them here as individual images and gave them appropriate names so you can see them all here. And what I'm going to do today, part of the code project today, is going to be to build that into a sprite sheet. And that way, what we can do is load the sprite sheet into memory with the exe. And then what we'll do is build a unit that references the sprite sheet, and we'll have one row of bases, one row of strengths, one row, put everything in order exactly the way we can just say, okay, your movement has changed to 6 because you're on a truck or whatever, and we just come down to the sprite sheet and we rebuild our unit, and we grab the 6th movement sprite sheet image and drop it in. So that's how we're going to change our graphic of our units. When you get reinforcements, you may add 10 or 20 or 30 infantry. Well, each block of 10 adds 1 to its strength and defense. So on the units, this is your strength and defense, and this is your movement. Kind of standard Avalon Hill fare, but I didn't use the little squares. So that was all decided yesterday. And pretty much that's going to be our starting point. I want to come back here and say, let's go ahead and run this just to show you that this doesn't do anything. All it is was just pulling code together. And it's an awful lot of code, mind you. I didn't catch what the count was. Did anybody catch what is 0? I don't know. Could be 300 lines of code. It could be 800 for all I know or care. So this is a starting point. We're starting off, all we can do is see our WarGame creator. I haven't even changed this grid out. All I have is stuff I'm going to use or planning to use at this point, brought in and linked together and ready to go. So what we'll do, what I'm going to do right now, this is a long enough video. It's probably going to be 2, but I don't know. We'll see. Um, what I'm going to do is zip this up and say WarGame start. Okay. And I'll put this zip out on my website, and I'll put a link in the video to saying, okay, for those of you who want to follow along and maybe you want to work on expanding this and exploding this into a real game, uh, you can say, okay, here's what we started with, and yes, I'm going to include all the graphics and stuff like that. I mean, that's years of me collecting graphics for my various war games, and that's a pretty good set of games. I'm going to go ahead and give you the block art as well. Let's see, where did we run into that? That's over here. So I'm going to go ahead and give you all of these, and you could actually decide that, you know what, I want in my game to use the blocks instead of those uh, hexagons. Well, that's fine, no big deal. Just when we build the grid, when we build the sprite sheet, you can build yours with these guys. You'll have to reposition all the graphics to where they fit properly on that. I don't make any guarantees. We could go look real quick. What do you say? If I open that up, he'll open in paint.net, and there he is. He looks to be a 128 as well. So let's go ahead here and say, okay, let's copy him, and we'll come to the bottom of this stack, and I will turn that off, and then we can paste him in and see how close we are. Oh, that's actually not too bad, is it? Now, we may have trouble with some of the bigger units. You may have to tweak some of these. But yeah, see, the gun barrel goes off almost to the edge of the block. I don't know. Maybe you care about that. Maybe you don't. We can drop the artillery unit in. He looks like he fits. Let's go ahead and kill that other one. So actually, it doesn't look that bad, does it? We can put our infantry guy in there. He seems to be a little bit high. Probably pull him down a little bit. But I mean, you can see what I'm doing. You can drop the block in and then position your values. Actually, I would probably lower the whole thing down a bit, but I'm not about to redo all the work that I did yesterday. That took quite a while. So we'll come down and go ahead and kill that out of there. And oh, did you paste in on top of that? Oh, well, I don't plan to save this anyhow. All right, so we'll go ahead and close this and say, absolutely no, don't save that. So anyhow, you can see how I go about putting in graphics, and maybe I will, the .NET, this paint.net has a pretty steep learning curve because of this whole layers thing. If you've used it before, you'll understand. If you're brand new to graphics and doing stuff with graphics, paint.net is, if you go ahead and spend a couple months beating your head against the wall in paint.net, you'll get pretty proficient at it. I'll be using it off and on, and maybe if you reach out to me, I'll do a video on it or something. There's not much you cannot do in paint.net. It is like it's awesome. I have no other words for it other than it's awesome. So I'm going to put this out on the website as the beginning spot of what we're doing, and then I will pick up from here, and we will begin designing more screens, and I will probably start launching Class Builder and start building some of the databases and get the code rolling. I would really like to get some movement on this today. So we'll see. That pretty much concludes this video, and thanks for your time and thanks for watching.